Hello, viewers. My name is Zach Hardy, and this is the show where I tell you who I think is going, or what team I think is going to win in the NFL for that specific week. And then either you agree with me and I'm right and you thank me a lot, or you agree with me and I'm wrong and you hate me a lot. Or you don't agree with me and I'm right and you wish you had agreed with me, or you don't agree with me and I was wrong and you thank yourself for not agreeing with me. Not the best intro to the show. Anyway, I have something to confess. This isn't a wrestling-related video. I know. I'm sorry. This is a little bit of a change. This is a little bit of a shift in what I put out. As you all know, I'm a huge football fan, especially of the San Francisco 49ers. Many of the videos that you can see on this channel circa late 2015 and prior, you would see some sort of 49ers memorabilia, whether it was the flag on the wall of the current Waterbury studio, or if it was a helmet that I had on, or a dog tag, or my hat, or whatever it may be. You would obviously know, if you've been watching for a long time, that I am a San Francisco 49ers fan. Sadly, they're not playing this Sunday, and I completely forgot that they were playing on Thursday. So I missed the entire first quarter, and then I fell asleep at the beginning of the third quarter and missed one of the best games of the season. So, yeah, that's what Thursday Night Football does to you. Anyway, we have a couple of games here. I want to come clean. I promise you, the results that I had for the past couple of weeks from week 1 and week 2 are legitimate. They are legitimate. When it came down to predictions in week 1 and week 2, I made them the morning of the games. So I made them roughly 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, which would be Sunday, September 17th and 10th, or 10th and 17th chronologically. My overall record after week 1 was, I believe it was 11-3-0, 0 as in ties. And my overall record after week 2, or at week 2, was 10-5-0. So overall, I am 21-8-0. So I like doing this. It seems like I'm good at it, so why not keep it rolling? Why not make it into a series? Maybe people will enjoy it. It's obviously being filmed or live streamed the Saturday before the Sunday where these games take place at 7:10 p.m. At least that's what time it is now. And I have the predictions right here on my phone. I promise you, these are legit. There's no editing magic, especially because this is a live stream, and there's no editing on a live stream. I'm getting off topic. Let's get into the first game. Baltimore Ravens at the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game is going to be taking place early Sunday morning, no matter where you are, as this is the game that takes place in London, England. The Jacksonville Jaguars, if they're known for anything, or if they're notorious for anything so far in the modern era of football, it would be London's forced favorite team. They play in London at least once a year. They seem to always be the team that plays the international game. England seems to love the Jaguars. I would be all for moving them from Jacksonville to London. So it's an interesting little concept. It takes place 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, yes, and what I would expect to be 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. Now, usually the Jaguars are known to be at least halfway merely decent when it comes down to the international games, no matter what the record is. They seem to feel more at home there than any other team in the NFL. However, when it comes down to it, I'm just not sold on the Jaguars. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think they have some great weapons. What is it? I think Allen Robinson or Allen Hurns, one of the two. I always get mistaken. Seem like a fantastic, at least fantasy wide receiver, and they can really move the ball. The offense does halfway decent. Leonard Fournette is shining through to be a decent choice at halfback for the Jacksonville Jaguars over TJ Yeldon and God, what was his name? Chris Ivory, I think it was. So I like the addition of Leonard Fournette. I'm not sold on Blake Bortles. I don't really like Blake Bortles overall. He has a stupid name. He doesn't really throw very accurately. He can throw a deep ball, but it's probably the least accurate thing he can do other than spiking it, which he more than likely just throw into a defender's helmet, and it would be called a spike because the referees would feel sorry for him. I'm going off topic. The defense seems to be decent, but nothing too spectacular. I'm not sold on the Jaguars. I've heard a lot about the Baltimore Ravens not being able to move the ball down the field, not being able to score, especially when it matters. That doesn't really cross me in any way. I've got the Baltimore Ravens defeating the Jacksonville Jaguars this Sunday. I would say it'd probably be a close game, perhaps 27-23, but I find the Baltimore Ravens walking out of that game victorious. Second game is the Cleveland Browns against the Indianapolis Colts, and this is probably the game that I feel most confident in my pick. Out of all the other games, I like kind of making it seem at least like I know what I'm talking about, because most of the time I do, but even when I don't, I kind of try to find something, and never mind, I'm just talking out of my ass. When it comes down to it, the Cleveland Browns and the Indianapolis Colts are two of the bottom feeders in the league, along with my 49ers. But I'm not going to talk about that. The Colts, I don't know what the fuck has happened to them. I mean, granted, we all know that they haven't had an offensive line for the past 2-3 years. Andrew Luck is not the starting quarterback. I believe it's between Scott Tolzien and Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett, obviously not a proven quarterback in this league yet. He's only in his second year. At the same time, Scott Tolzien is nothing more than a second, mostly third-string backup quarterback that is not very, let's say, productive, and is not by any means good in pressure or especially behind a weak offensive line like the Indianapolis Colts have. On the other hand, the Cleveland Browns have impressed me over the past 2 weeks. They've been playing some more than halfway decent football. They hung in there with the Pittsburgh Steelers, made it a competitive game for the first time. I think they've done that in a couple of years maybe. And then last year, God, who did they play? Did they play the Bengals? No, they did not play the Bengals. I don't know who they played against last week, but I remember it being a decent game. Deshaun Kaiser, I don't really feel is the guy to lead them right now. I think he needs to kind of improve a little. I think he's learning as we go on, but I don't think he's really. I don't think he's the solution this year. I think maybe 2 years from now he'll be a really reliable quarterback. The Cleveland Browns are, I'll be honest, are impressing me as time goes on. I like what they're doing with the team. The Indianapolis Colts just seem like a fucking dumpster fire. Chuck Pagano probably will be out of a job before the season even ends. I like what Cleveland's doing right now. I like the role that they're on, even though they have not won a game this year. I am impressed enough to say that I believe the Cleveland Browns will be beating the Indianapolis Colts in this game. And I think I'm most confident in any pick that I make this week. I think I'm most confident in the Cleveland Browns defeating the Indianapolis Colts this week. I should probably just bring this closer to me. Third game, the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, both teams obviously have their flaws. You know, the Giants don't seem to have an offensive line that can give Eli Manning enough time to be able to be productive with the football. This past Monday night, they looked absolutely just potent against the Detroit Lions. They made the Detroit Lions look like a Super Bowl contender. That's how bad the Giants played. Granted, they have Odell Beckham Jr. back now. Of course, I don't really believe Odell Beckham Jr. is one of the better wide receivers in the league. I think he's obviously in the better half of the receivers in the league. But when it comes down to it, you have Eli Manning. You have a quarterback that over the past couple of years has kind of been able to work and mend with different receivers. However, since Odell Beckham Jr. came in, he's kind of just been the real legitimate target on that team. That overall, if you're looking for a big play from the Giants, then Odell Beckham Jr. is more than likely the guy that, you know, the other team is going to be covering. He's kind of that expectation, and that's kind of what Eli Manning has devolved into over the past number of seasons since Odell Beckham Jr. came in the league. I'm not a big fan of Eli Manning. I never have been. He has been a very clutch quarterback. I will give him credit for that. But what Matthew Stafford was when Calvin Johnson Jr. was there is what Eli Manning is now with Odell Beckham Jr. in New York. On the other hand, Philadelphia they're a good team. I just don't see enough chemistry there. If I'm not mistaken, Alshon Jeffrey is on the Philadelphia Eagles. He came off of an underproductive season last year. I still expect big things from him this year. Give me a second. He's on the fucking Eagles, right? I mean, he's got to be on the Eagles, right? I remember him being signed. Damn right he is. Okay. So I still expect big things from him throughout the season, and I hope he does big things throughout the season. Carson Wentz he's improving, especially since last year. He didn't have the best second half of the season last year, but he's kind of on the uphill when it comes to being a quarterback. He's kind of panning out for the Eagles, and I'm liking what they're doing here. I'm liking what they're pulling along with this team. So I feel confident in this pick when I say that the Philadelphia Eagles will beat the New York Giants. I'm obviously not really a big fan of the Giants right now. They have not sold me on anything. It just seems like a pretty poor fucking football team. And speaking of poor football teams, the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets. And God, what a shit show this should be. So I think we can all agree by now that the New York Jets are the equivalent of if you were to take a collegiate level basketball team and put them on a National Football team, a National Football League team, and expect them to do anything. It's just the Jets. When you have a quarterback battle on your team and none of the quarterbacks are really decent. Okay, let me rephrase that. When you have a quarterback battle on your team and none of the quarterbacks in that battle are really worth a shit, you know there's a problem. When you have a quarterback battle between not great quarterbacks, and that's one of the smaller problems on your team, you know you're doing something wrong. The Jets, I don't think I have enough words in my expansive vocabulary to be able to make enough adequate similarities between the New York Jets and anything horrific. For one, and these are all off the top of my head, the New York Jets seem like they have enough energy as a kid would have when he finds out that there's no prize at the bottom of the cereal box. The New York Jets play about as well as Adam Sandler is comedic in his movie. Wording was off. Proper was there. Honestly, I trust the New York Jets less than I trust a woman alone in Bill Cosby's hotel room. I don't trust them at all. I don't like the team. It's an absolute shit show. I take pride and I take solace in the fact that the San Francisco 49ers are better than at least one team in this league, and that are the pathetic green and white New York Jets. I obviously have the Miami Dolphins. No matter who their quarterback is, you could have a fucking dumpster truck, garbage truck, as quarterback for the Dolphins, and I would still take the Dolphins over the New York Jets. Let me put it this way. It doesn't matter who you have at quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. It could be Tom Brady, or it could be Brady Quinn. I will take the Dolphins over this New York Jets team any day. Don't know what the score is going to be. I hope it's not close, because that would be a testament to the Miami Dolphins and how bad they'd be and look. So I'm going to say 41-17, Miami Dolphins. Next game is the Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills. And if there's any pick this week that I feel least confident in, it is this game. The Denver Broncos came off of a very impressive win against the Dallas Cowboys last week. Dak Prescott somehow out of nowhere devolved into a turtle with a football glued to a shell. And by that, I mean as productive as nothing. The Denver Broncos, the fucking Cowboys played so badly, it made Trevor Siemian look like a stud out there on the football field. That's one of the phrases that I heard over the past week, and I couldn't agree more. However, when it comes down to it, you have the Denver Broncos, and I don't think this team can do much on offense. I think any game they win this season, 9 times out of 10, is going to be because of their defensive play. They probably still have the best defense in the league. And when it comes down to it, the Buffalo Bills, it's like they're swimming in a shallow pond of mediocrity. I don't really get what the Buffalo Bills are this season. They don't really seem like a football team. I don't even think I don't really like their play this season either. I don't trust them. I mean, I would trust Steve-O to babysit my kid more than I would trust the Buffalo Bills to put on a competitive game. However, when it comes down to it, the Denver Broncos could shock me. Their offense could get too big-headed, or their defense could do the same as well. After we took down the Dallas Cowboys, they went 13-3 last season. We are at the top of our game or whatever. Go into it with a big head and lose to the Buffalo Bills. It wouldn't surprise me because the Denver Broncos are the kind of team to do that. But rest assured, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos anyway. I think their defensive play, without going into it with a big head, will be able to shut down the Buffalo Bills pretty easily. So I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. But out of all games this week, I think that's the least confident pick that I have this week. New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers. I picked the New Orleans Saints over the past 2 weeks. And no, I'm sorry. I picked the New Orleans Saints in week 1 and picked the Patriots in week 2, obviously. Duh. But the Saints let me down in week 1. It comes down to this. Obviously, their defense is absolute horse shit. It's like a fucking burned out light bulb decided, I want to make as much as I can out of my last round, and immediately dies out. The Saints just, they can't do anything on defense. Their offense is... their defense is... confounding, I guess, to say the least. It's confusing, more so. You have very good quarterback play from Drew Brees, who is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But at the same time, he's got really no weapons around him. Whether the offensive line is good in some people's eyes or bad in some people's eyes, I just don't like the Saints' offensive line. I don't know. I just don't. But when it comes down to it, the Carolina Panthers have been the absolute fucking definition of pathetic over the past couple of weeks. I mean, you have a game to open the season. You have a game against the 49ers, and Cam Newton plays as though he had to take a shit the entire game. Like he had no energy. He just wanted to get off the field, and he didn't care. And that's against the 49ers. And then last week, you barely scraped by with the Buffalo Bills. I don't like the Carolina Panthers this year. I didn't like them last year. I didn't really like them the year before. I don't really trust the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, Cam Newton is kind of just devolving as time goes on. Slowly and steadily, he's just devolving. And that's essentially what you have out of the Carolina Panthers right now. I don't like the Panthers. And my safe choice is to go with the New Orleans Saints. So I've got the New Orleans Saints winning 31-27, or 31-21 maybe. So that's the pick there. Pittsburgh Steelers at Chicago Bears. I don't give a fuck who you start for the Chicago Bears. I have Pittsburgh winning this game. The Bears held their own in Week 1 against the Falcons, and they looked impressive. I'll admit they even had me fooled. And then they went out against the Buccaneers, and it essentially looked like if Mike D'Antoni were to coach the New York Jets and have that be the one thing that never mind. No. I could come up, you know what, the Bears are not worth it. The Bears they played like horseshit last week, which proves that Week 1 was really a fluke, if anything. I don't like the Bears. I do not see them improving this year. I don't like their chances. They have some good on offense. Jeremy Langford is one of them. Mike Lennon is Mike Lennon. And overall, their team it's a bad team. I don't like the Bears. The team is bad. That's about as much as they deserve. They don't deserve a more powerful word, and they don't deserve a weaker word. It's just they're bad. And with the Steelers, I mean, you have a case of Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell with the addition of Marcus Wheaton, the Steelers' offensive line, which honestly I'm not too annoyed with. It seems like a good offensive line. Their defense is improving this season. I don't think the Bears have any chance. I guarantee you right now, if Jessica Solnick is watching this video, then she is fucking ecstatic. But yeah, aside from that, it's like, it's Bears. They're bad. It's a bad team, bad squad. Can't do anything on offense. Really don't want to do anything on defense. They don't stand a chance of the Steelers. Yeah, they're just Pittsburgh all the way. 38-13. That's my prediction for that. And I feel fairly confident in that score, or at least a score that emulates something like that. Next is what I think could be the game of the week, aside from Rams 49ers, and that's a strong statement. And that would be the defending NFC champions Atlanta Falcons against the Detroit Lions. And give me all the shit you want when it comes down to it. Give him all the shit you want. Call me wrong, call me stupid, or call me right and call me a genius. I would take Matthew Stafford as the quarterback to lead my franchise any day. I obviously had many doubts a couple of years ago when it was just, okay, I'm in trouble. Calvin, here's the ball. You got me 15 yards. Great. I'm going to give you the ball again. Just go all the way down the field, right? You can fucking jump into the tunnel. I don't care. I am throwing it to you. And then Calvin Johnson retired, and we kind of saw in Matthew Stafford more of a case of you had a guy who was just exposed to this one receiver. This one receiver really defined him as a player, and he overcame that. And he is now, once that receiver was gone, he learned very quickly how to utilize every weapon on his offense. Granted, I'm not a big fan of some of their defining factors on offense. I do not like Theo Riddick. I do not find him a reliable halfback. Or at least I will not find him a reliable halfback for the number of years that I think he's going to play. But overall, I would take Matthew Stafford to lead my franchise at quarterback. He's matured. He is at least showing very well that he is worth every penny that the Detroit Lions spent on him this past offseason. And I'm really liking the quarterback play that Matthew Stafford has brought forth to the table. When it comes down to the Atlanta Falcons, they are not impressing me at all. this season. The Detroit Lions just look really, really good, and I find them a strong playoff contender. So I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions here in what some would consider an upset and others would consider just a smart strategic pick. I think it'll be a close game, probably a 28-25 score. It could come down to a game-winning field goal, but I like my pick with the Detroit Lions here. They just seem like the better football team to me. Sorry. Then you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Sam Bradford-less Minnesota Vikings. And, you know, if I were to tell myself 5 years ago that I would be sitting here today and say, man, the Minnesota Vikings would have a great chance if only Sam Bradford were playing, I would have laughed in my own face. Sam Bradford he's a decent quarterback. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Sam Bradford. He's really kind of what molds the Vikings together. But now you have Teddy Bridgewater out. Who do you have starting quarterback of the Vikings? Case Keenum? Yeah, I'd rather, I'd rather fucking take the who the fuck's playing the Buccaneers. Yeah, I'd rather take the Jameis Winston led Mike Evans. What was it? Mike Evans, Vincent Jackson, and as a whole, I'd rather take the Jameis Winston, Doug Martin, Mike Evans, Vincent Jackson, and Deshaun Jackson run Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense to light up the Vikings defense. And I don't like the Vikings offense really without Sam Bradford, because he's kind of, again, what kind of melds that team together against a really, really pretty good young Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. I'm liking the Buccaneers this year. I'm liking the Raiders this year, and I'm liking the Titans this year. And I've got the Buccaneers winning pretty easily against Minnesota. I think the score will probably be closer than this, but I would go with a 30-17 victory for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like them a lot this season. I'm hoping they're a strong playoff contender. Houston Texans at the New England Patriots. Seattle Seahawks at the Tennessee Titans. Okay, let me go back. The Texans and the Patriots, don't get me wrong, I'm liking what I'm seeing out of the Texans. I think they have a really good defense, and I think they are drastically improving on offense. Don't get me wrong, I like what seems to be the future for the Houston Texans. I think they are finally being run correctly, and I think they have a valuable shot at being a legitimate threat in the AFC. Maybe not like the threat, but a legitimate threat in the AFC, a legitimate underdog in the AFC. However, I do not think they stand a fucking chance against the Patriots. Then again, I mean, stranger things have happened. The Cleveland Browns have beaten the New England Patriots only a number of years ago. So it wouldn't be the most shocking thing if the Texans were to beat the Patriots. But I have the Patriots winning pretty decisively, maybe 35-17 or maybe 35-20. So yeah, I have the Patriots winning. I do not have confidence in the Texans against a team like the Patriots. So yeah, there's that. Seattle Seahawks or the Tennessee Titans. I know this may come as a shock to some of you, but I do not like the Seattle Seahawks. I know. The confession of the century. The confession of the millennium. I don't like the Seahawks. I think I hate the Seahawks the most out of any team in the league. Granted, they're a good football team. Their defense is extremely talented. Their offense is decent. The offensive line needs a lot of work. But when it comes down to it, I like the Tennessee Titans more. It should be a great quarterback game between Russell Wilson and Marcus Mariota, my apologies. But when it comes down to it, I like the Titans' chances a lot more. I mean, I think the Seahawks, who have been having trouble putting points on the board over the past couple of weeks, will have trouble against a young Tennessee Titans defense. And I like the Tennessee Titans offense against the Seattle Seahawks defense. I think it'll be a low-scoring game, perhaps 17-13, maybe 19-13, but I like the Tennessee Titans here. So one of the other shockers of the week, other than the Lions over the Falcons, I have the Tennessee Titans over the Seattle Seahawks in a relatively low-scoring game. So that is my prediction there. I should start shooting off of these. Cincinnati Bengals at Green Bay Packers. I will take the Green Bay Packers. I don't care if they played horribly against the Falcons last week. I just do not. Jesus Christ, the Bengals. They were shut out in week 1. They only put 9 points on the board in week 2. We are through 2 weeks of play, and they have not scored double digits. That's something that not even the 49ers can say, and that's saying something. Let's hold on. Over the first 2 weeks, the 49ers gained 12 points. Not a great analogy. Okay, how about this? Over the past 3 weeks, 39 plus 3, 42, plus 9 equals 51. So 51 points after week 3 for the 49ers. The Bengals, in order to get close to that, need to score 42 points in order to tie the 49ers by their week 3. They need to score 42 points in week 3 against the Green Bay Packers in order to have scored the same amount of points as the 49ers have this season. That is shocking, especially from a team that was just recently a playoff contender 2 years ago. The Bengals, I don't know what the fuck happened to Andy Dalton, but he throws worse. Oh, Jesus Christ. What analogy can I make for this? A broken clock is more accurate on time than Andy Dalton is in a football game. I don't know what the fuck happened to Andy Dalton. It's like his mind has one of two options. It's either, incomplete pass or interception. Maybe I'll just press the red button and get the one completion. That one completion in the game. It's like they had an emergency completion. I think it's relatively clear that I'm going with the Packers here. I could be stunned. I could be shocked. The Bengals may put up 50 points on the Packers. Who the fuck knows? But I've got the Packers here 23-7. Seems like, from the past couple of weeks, seems like a decent prediction. Kansas City Chiefs at Los Angeles Chargers. I've been hearing a lot about how the Chiefs are getting a little too comfortable. Perhaps that could be a weakness. And granted, the Los Angeles Chargers, they're not a horrible football team. They're just A, terribly run, and B, I just don't feel like they connect. I don't think they have the chemistry as a team to really be a threat to anybody, let alone the Chiefs, who I find, and honestly, this is my honest opinion, I think the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the NFL right now as of Saturday, the Saturday before the beginning of the Week 3 Sunday games. I find the Kansas City Chiefs as the best team in the league. I do not find the Chargers are strong enough as a unit to be able to hold a candle to the Chiefs. Granted, they always have some pretty decent games, but I find the Chiefs a heavy favorite here. I would say, I would even say like 40-23. That's the kind of confidence I have in the Kansas City Chiefs this week, that's big for me. Oakland Raiders at Washington Redskins on Sunday Night Football. This I think is going to be a really good game. Honestly, I like the sound of Raiders Redskins. This is when it comes down to it. I will not be able to watch it because I'm watching No Mercy, and I hope to give you a No Mercy review tomorrow, as well as a USW. What is I don't keep up with the Severity pay-per-views. God, I know they had. I wrote it down in notes. Let me find the notes. I hope to give a No Mercy review tomorrow, and at the same time, I don't have the notes. And at the same time, be able to give you a USW Emergence pay-per-view review as well. But I will not be able to watch most of the Sunday night game. But if it comes down to it, like if there was a wrestling pay-per-view, I don't stay up for many games. You know, I like going to sleep early because I feel like an old man, and it's easier for me to wake up in the morning for when I have to go to classes. So I don't really stay up for Sunday night or Thursday night or Monday night games very often. This is one of the games that I would stay up for. This is one of the games that I would stay up the entire night for, or the entirety of the game for. I like Raiders-Redskins. It seems like a good game. Seems like it's going to be a good game. It's going to be an exciting game. I got the Raiders here. Again, I just really like Derek Carr as a quarterback. Granted, I say this a lot with a lot of quarterbacks, especially a lot of, third, fourth year quarterbacks that have kind of had a couple of good seasons, but have not really proven themselves long term. Derek Carr, I say this about Andy Dalton. I said this about Brian Hoyer. I said this about what's his name? He's a backup for Tom Brady, number 10. Jimmy Garoppolo. I said this about Landry Jones. I said this about numerous guys, especially like guys like Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, so on and so forth. They have not proven themselves long term. I like Derek Carr for what he is right now, and that is a reliable starting quarterback. So I'm hoping that this continues. Derek Carr seems like a really, really good quarterback on the brink of elite level. And if he can stay healthy all year, the Raiders are a legitimate Super Bowl contender, which is weird because I wouldn't have expected to say that 4 or 5 years ago. So I have the Washington Redskins falling to the Oakland Raiders this week. I think it'll be a very close game. I think it'll be a very good game. I'm going to go 34-30 with the Raiders walking out on top. And for the Monday night game, you have the Dallas Cowboys at the Arizona Cardinals. I don't find any trouble in saying that I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to win this game. Okay, the microphone. Sorry, microphone is working. Thought I unplugged it for a second. I don't think that the Cowboys' loss this past Sunday against the Denver Broncos was, a big thing. I think we're looking too big into it. The Cowboys are still a really good team. I don't think Dak Prescott automatically turned into just a robot arm with nothing. Just, I'm going to throw it here, somebody catch it. I don't think that's what happened last week. I just think they didn't play well. When it comes down to this week, they're playing against the Arizona Cardinals. This is a team that will, just like the 49ers, are rebuilding, just will not admit it. So when you look at it, I guarantee you a lot of Cardinals fans, just like myself, like I'm a 49ers fan, I always wait for that one day where I'll once again see the 49ers like being in the top 5, top 10 teams in the league. The Cardinals will wish that again. I don't think that's this year. They're not playing like a legitimate football team. They're playing like a group of jackasses. They just can't do anything. They seem like an old, broken, weathered down team. And it shows when you have Carson Palmer as a quarterback who's just turned into a bricklayer, and Larry Fitzgerald as a wide receiver, who is an absolute downright Hall of Famer, but is just he's getting to that age where he's just, I'm going to clock out. I've had a nice run. And at the same time, you've got Dustin Johnson. I think that's his name. Dustin Johnson, the halfback who is injured. I believe he's going to be out for this Sunday's game. I've got the Dallas Cowboys winning, I would say roughly 30-17, maybe 31-17. That's the score I'd give to that. So again, let me go and quickly run down my predictions for this entire week. The predictions are all listed down below in the description, so that way you don't necessarily have to watch the video. I probably should have said that at the beginning of the video. My apologies. I legitimately completely forgot to do that. But yeah, I have the Ravens over the Jaguars, the Browns over the Colts, the Eagles over the Giants, the Dolphins over the Jets, the Broncos over the Bills, the Saints over the Panthers, Steelers over the Bears, Lions over the Falcons, Buccaneers over the Vikings, Patriots over the Texans, Titans over the Seahawks, Packers over the Bengals, Chiefs over the Chargers, Raiders over the Redskins, and Cowboys over the Cardinals. And that is my prediction overall. So, again, my overall record this year is 21-8-0. And I'm hoping to continue that for the rest of the season. I hope to be able to do this again next Saturday. I found this very enjoyable to just sit down and talk football. So yeah, that was my full-on prediction for Week 3 of the 2017 through 2018 NFL regular season. Thank you guys for watching. If you do utilize some of my picks, and let's say you use them when it comes down to betting and you win, then be sure to let me know. I'll be able to give you a shout out on Twitter or down below on YouTube, and even next week on the edition of the show. If you use my picks and you missed out, then tell me down below, and I'll be sure to I guess make it up with a shout out as well. I've not really thought through this whole process, but aside from that, this is fun. I want to do this again next week. This is fun. So thank you guys for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. I'm Zach Hardy. Signing off. Take care.